Good morning, everybody. It's Monday. You're at the Long Island Breakfast Club show. I am missing Greg. He's doing pretty good. He's relaxing a little bit, taking it easy, and we miss him. I just ask everyone say a prayer. Give that to him. He's Barez. So, Greg, we love you and hope you're watching.
It's not mine. It's
Okay, so we have a great show today. Today is National Opposite Day. It is National Bigwig Day, and I'm sitting here with three bigwigs. So we'll be introducing them in a minute. It's National Florida Day, and it's National Irish Coffee Day. So celebrate any way you want. I'd say the coffee day is good. And we have coffee thanks to Eddie Sessa today. Eddie Sessa, our friend and supporter of the Breakfast Club, brought us all donuts. Donuts and coffee today at the club. So thank you all for watching. I want to introduce you to Asia Lee.
hello.
Thank you for coming, Miss beautiful woman with your turquoise. You match our set, and I love these earrings.
It's a pleasure, and I'm so happy to join you guys. I mean, I'm a big, huge fan of all of you. So
Thank you. So happy to have you. And we have Debbie and John from Intention Films and Media. Debbie, I go way back with Debbie from the town, the county, and even before that. You know, the film festival when we were in the documentary in Belmore. The film about being 50 and older. That's as a result, that's why I have my book, From Fire to Freedom. That's how long ago. And one of the girls that helped me at that day, who wasn't helping me, we're not friends anymore because she got kind of pissy and she didn't want to clean up and it was tight quarters. And I remember you said, you can only have so much space. And so, anyway, she's not with us any longer, but she's still around. But that's how long. And John, I don't know you.
It'll
I
change
know you're
over
very
time.
quiet since you came in. You like your coffee?
Yeah,
I know you like regular, but I didn't know that. So you have decaf today.
I'm adaptable.
You're adaptable.
and
Okay.
if you want to learn
It's my
anything
world.
about John, look on Deborah's Instagram and Facebook.
Very good. Yeah.
Deborah's the dog, but John will be over there. So
Yeah.
it's the dog and John.
The dog. Now is the dog you have a nice dog. I know a big one, right? 60 pounds. I'd be allergic. I have allergic. Uh, uh, That's great. So that's great. So the first thing we do is everybody gets Italian bread on my show because we break bread. Okay. You don't eat it here. You don't break it here. You break it when you go home. But this is about the relationship that I have. That's my history with my family. You're supposed to break bread with everyone. And in my book, there's a story about how I met Gary Melius many years ago. And the first thing I did was I brought him a loaf of Italian bread. And there's a story in my book about the day I almost fell down the stairs like Cinderella at the Ohika Castle. And I was there to interview for a job. So what happened as a result of that is we became great friends. And I go see him once in a while, and he's a doll. So that's why I always bring bread to people.
Mhm.
Don't know if you like the idea, but
I
it's
love
part of
it.
my thing.
I love it. It's always fabulous to break bread. It's that connection and eating together that we're missing during the pandemic.
Yes,
Eating together and
that's
being
true. Well,
together.
that's the part that I miss the most. You know, the family, the grandchildren, all that. It's tough. Do you have grandchildren?
And no one's interested in reproducing.
Get the hell out of town.
No, it's that's fine.
But four daughters, that's shocking. You'd think you'd have one grandchild.
Well, okay. She has a daughter. I have I have two plus one. So I have okay.
I got it. You said it. I'm a little slow.
Yes, I have two biological daughters with my first wife,
Okay.
and long time ago, when this little girl was about 6 or so, we took her in as a foster child,
Oh, how nice.
and she's still there. She still actually refers to me as her dad. She's now 32 this year. We still are in touch. We talk all the time.
How nice. Very
Um,
nice.
So like I said, I have 2 plus 1 plus 1.
Yeah.
And the dog,
And the dog. What's the dog's name?
Gracie.
Gracie. I love that.
So I'm continuously surrounded by estrogen.
Yes, this is true. I guess when they were young, you must have bought cases of you know what. Once a month, you had to buy them.
I guess so. That would
My
be-
father had 4 daughters. He used to buy them by the case.
Well, we were already kind of divorced by that time.
Oh, you still
For
spent a lot of
I have never left their life. I've always been there.
That's wonderful.
I talk to them all the time. It's a little more difficult at this point because of the pandemic, and my youngest daughter now lives in Santiago, Chile. So she's been down there for 5 or 6 years. She's English as a foreign language teacher down there.
Wow.
So I can't visit. She can't visit. Nothing. The other daughter shows up every once in a while. She's a wildlife biologist, which is I still find extremely amusing because this is the child who couldn't have her food touch on the plate.
Really?
She examines the contents of the fish's stomach,
Oh my goodness.
things like that. So she's changed a lot.
Wow.
Then she's going back upstate. She lives upstate.
Yeah, she's going back up to the
Oh.
cold to climb fire towers and
Really?
stuff. But
So,
she writes permits for environmental.
oh,
projects, like
she's
farms
very,
and stuff
oh,
like
so
that.
she's very intelligent.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a little bit about the movies, the producing, the film commission, how you get your house in a movie and get paid. Do you get paid when they use your house?
Well, people don't generally film at my house other than us.
I think she was talking about everybody else.
I'm talking about if I give you mine.
She was leading
Anyway.
there. She was setting-
I ran and created the Nassau County Film Office 33 years ago. About 33 years ago.
Unbelievable. Congratulations.
And, if people want to list their home, I left the film office about a month and a half ago, to go more into my writing and filmmaking, and I also have an energy medicine practice. But basically, if you want to list your home, you can email me at Intention Films and Media through Facebook, and we'll tell you how to get on the Nassau County site. But you have to be from Nassau County because it's the Nassau County Film Commission, which is currently run by Nugent Cantolino and Anthony Labriola, who are 2 wonderful young men that I trained before I left. And you can get your house on the site, no address. You just put the town it's from, you contact them with the code of the house, and they'll contact the homeowner, tell them what the job is. If the homeowner's interested, they put the 2 of you together. We don't take a fee for that. That's whatever you guys work out, the company and
That's great. So I bet people don't even realize how to do that.
Exactly.
If they have a beautiful home, or if you're looking for a disheveled home, obviously for a movie, sometimes you might need that, right?
Yeah, sometimes they want a house that needs TLC, and sometimes if it's a home improvement show, they'll even fix it up. So it can be,
Wow.
all kinds of benefits to that. So that's one of the things they do, and things are in pandemic. Even though it's a pandemic and people have to film differently, there's still a lot of really big projects going on right now.
Really?
Gilded Age and as well as Dickinson are multi-year jobs with the county. So I left as they were already in progress, and I know they're in very good hands. But everything from commercials to music videos to feature films to independent films, which is what we do. We
Yeah.
make independent films, and John shoots them. He's also an AD. He's also a COVID compliance officer.
Yeah, COVID compliance
Yeah.
officer. Yes.
Oh, to check the people that come in for the films and
Right.
things like that?
Yeah.
That's
And
terrific.
I'm a writer and director.
Even before this, we were communicating. We've been communicating for a while. So to see her today was just like
That's awesome.
synchronicity.
Mhm.
Um,
And I'm such
So-
a huge fan of Asia. Her work
Oh.
is exquisite, and we've had some pretty amazing conversations.
She's the greatest. And
Yes,
plus,
she
she's
is.
like, you know,
I know she's
I'm-
gorgeous.
beautiful movie star. I mean, she's kind. She'll give you advice, whether you want to hear it or you don't, which I like that. See, yeah, but see, for me, I need that, because, I'm new at this and I take the advice and the criticism. Not everybody does, but it takes time to take it. It takes time to be able to accept it.
Yes.
I noticed that, Plus, I don't know why, but it's easier when it's coming from a woman.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm always a believer of you can do anything you put your mind to. You just have to keep doing it.
Exactly.
But even talking to Asia, sometimes I slip into patterns to go, no, what you mean is.
Exactly. And you have that voice sound pretty good.
know what you mean. Yeah, you're exactly right. That's what I mean. When
Yes.
we do this, when this happens, as this happens.
And never can. It's not yet. Not
Mhm.
yet. Words are so important because our subconscious is
Yes.
constantly listening.
Mhm.
And that's why I brought this apple because I want to inspire everyone on how, I'm known as a creator and an artist, but creativity is not just about the art. We are creating our lives consciously or unconsciously. I take a bite of this apple, and in 4 hours, I create me. But we are consciously creating from our thoughts. Our thoughts create our emotions. Our emotions create the desire to do something. So, depending on what we're feeling, we can grab this or we can grab ice cream or something that's not healthy. So, it's being conscious of our subconscious and our thoughts and to keep it in the direction we want to go. And during COVID, that's why we started the Pink Tie Show. I'm so excited. I can't wait because we feel alone, and even sometimes I feel alone, but we are not alone. And this is a brain hack. We have to constantly give ourselves the nurturing, like we're all in this long winter, and we should be so proud of ourselves that we've been doing this well, and then think of where you want to be. Like a lot of us is thinking, what I see with a lot of friends and stuff is, oh, it used to be like this. Oh, I wish we could do this again. And just wishing and thinking of the past doesn't help us. Think like when, and also work. This is a great time to work on ourselves. And I've been working on myself, and why I wanted to bring this show, because it's 3 things for success, which is mindset, motivation, and method. Some of us have the mindset, some of us have the motivation, some of us have the method. And if you can't do something and you're not getting it, it's your limiting belief that's blocking it. And I love this. I learned this from Sam Harris's book called Free Will, how we could only choose from our known. And Einstein kind of made a similar statement of the same level of problem. So, like, if I asked you to pick a movie.
Um,
Okay, you just asked her to make a choice. That's her problem. Getting-
in heaven.
Okay.
Made in Heaven. That's a good one.
Made in Heaven. Beautiful movie. The thing is, you could only choose from your known. You could not choose the millions of other fabulous movies that you've never heard of. And we are all living our lives this way. And my intention is to bring more beauty, more inspiration, because instead of spiraling in the news of the negative and this being your known, let the beauty and what you want and you being the creator of getting what you want to be the future. So that's my intention with my morning post.
Great
and stuff.
advice. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, we're all creators,
Ye-
obviously.
yes.
And we all create in different ways. Or I also, as a student of natural medicine and whatever, and there's a medicine that each of us have, whether it's even writing. Your writing brings something to the world.
True. It gives
Your
you.
photography brings something to the world. Your teaching, John's a phenomenal teacher that brings something to the world.
Everyone brings something to the world. They know it or not. And you're creating consciously or unconsciously. So even if you're in the dumps and blue, you matter, and you are a creator. You're just not aware of it. So I just want to let you know you matter.
Well, plus I think, like everybody's been in their little pity spot somewhere along the line.
Mhm.
But, the truth is that every day you have to get up, get dressed, show up. That's in my book. That's what I believe. Because
Yes.
that's what I did all those years when I couldn't get back into corporate America. And then I finally realized I could do this by myself. But it takes time to get that confidence. Right?
Absolutely.
So now in your business, which and I think it's phenomenal that you create all these documentaries, these movies. Do you pick the people? Do you read things, or how does it come about?
Comes about in a lot of different ways.
We take walks at the park.
Walks at the park, huh?
At the park,
With the
which
dog,
Nature is
with Gracie.
not anymore with Gracie. She doesn't have a name in the park, but
Oh,
she goes on walks where there's no people around.
oh
But,
gosh.
after starting the film festival, I was one of the co-creators with Ann and Henry Stamfel and started the Long Island International Film Expo, which is where I met you.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
That's going on its 24th year now. And so I started to see a lot of films. So I started with the film office helping people make films. And then I started with the film festival, really seeing a lot of other independent films and getting to discern what's cool, what's not, what do I like, that's interesting. And then about 8 years ago, I had already been casting films for a couple of other filmmakers, and I decided it was time to make my own movie and see what made directors crazy. And I found out.
So with your first movie, was that like a disappointment, or no? It was
Oh,
great.
It was, like John said, decisions are, I can always see 5 million ways to go, which kind of makes it a little difficult because if we do that, that's great. But if we do that, that's
Oh,
great. So
you're going
narrowing
off.
down on what we want to do. Do we want to get a name? If we get a name, then we really have to get a professional crew. Do we get something just to play with it? But I've been in the film industry for too long. I can't make a movie that looks terrible.
Well,
So
if you're gonna do it, you got to do it right. Otherwise, why bother, right?
So I wrote a little ditty that John helped me with called "The Last Taxi Driver," which was a zombie comedy, which is on Amazon Prime right now. And I contacted Robert Plahesi from Blue Bloods because I'd already cast him in a couple of movies, and Deb Twist, who was in Kick-Ass, and Emily Jackson, who was in Carnet. And I said, all right, I want to do this movie. They jumped right in. We got a crew of people that. People who were just out of college, so they weren't going to charge a lot. They got to work with some names, so there was a lot of that in there for them. And we made this little zombie movie, which is just a silly film, but it looks great. And I submitted it to some film festivals, and it started winning awards. I'm like, how'd that happen? But okay. And then I just got so inspired, I couldn't stop writing. So within
That's
3 weeks of finishing Taxi Driver, my movie Leaving had come out with Sal Rendino from. What is he in right now? I think he's in Billions, and also Molly Ryman, who was in Hurricane Bianca, which is on Netflix, and started sending that out. Very different than Taxi. And then I just started making a movie, and then people started hiring me. So besides doing the casting, then I was hired to direct several other films, and so I like to have the mix of directing my own, and I also like working with other people where they're at the helm because I learn from them.
That's
and then they
terrific.
come back and help me.
Mhm.
So it really, it's a nice symbiotic, relationship. I've written every genre. I've written horror. I've written comedy, drama. I've written things that are a lot more spiritual, which tends to be where I'm going now.
Uh-huh.
Except for I want to write the Taxi feature because I just think that would be a hoot. But everything has a story.
Well, it's true. Everybody does, and everybody does.
Yeah.
So for our fans out there that might maybe want to pitch themselves to you to be in a movie, how does that go about? You have to
Well-
know them. They have to have experience.
Well, it depends on what. Usually, when I write something, I have who I want to work with in mind.
Okay.
And that tends to be who I get. But I know, like when I'm writing the feature with Taxi Driver, I see Robert Plahesi in the lead because that's what I want.
Right.
And if it's not him because of Blue Bloods, it'll be somebody like him.
Hmm.
But I do a lot of casting for other people, and I just cast a pilot called Super User Do, which premiered at the North Fork TV Festival.
Hmm.
And Elias Plagianos, who was the director, I've worked with him several times before. We both have. And he said to me, "Look, you want to cast this thing, and I need a very diverse cast and whatever." And I said, "Let me see the script." They said, "I'm on it." And it was almost an embarrassment of riches how everybody I needed for that film specifically came to me. Like the lead, his mother said, "Can you look at my son's reel?" And I don't always have time to do that, but because I respect her a good deal, I said, "Let me look at him." Like, this kid's great.
Oh,
And
how
then
nice
I
was
sent it
that?
to Elias, and Elias like, "This guy's such a find. Where'd you find him?" I said, "His mother just contacted me and looked at his reel." He ended up being the lead in the movie, and he's brilliant.
That's
so-
wonderful. So there is hope out there for everybody.
Sure, absolutely.
And then when it comes to the documentaries, what gives you like the interest that you want to write about a real true little story?
Yeah. Well, we haven't done too many documentaries I've helped people, but we just did something called One Kind Thing. And the reason for it is I wanted to, it's the first year with Gracie, and we were brokenhearted. Our other dog had passed, a few months before that. And so we wanted to give her something special. When we had Trippy, we would go to this bakery called Francesco's, which since is burned down. And we would get
Oh,
her
yeah,
the
I know about
biscotti,
that.
the biscotti
Yes.
flautas.
Mhm.
So I emailed on a dog parents page and I said, what can I get Gracie that's really special? So they recommended the barking biscuit. And I said, all right, well, I just don't want to get her cookies. I'm going to get them for all the dogs in the
Aw,
shelter. Because,
that's
they're there
nice.
And
Yeah.
so I met a Leslie Bronstein from the dog parents page, and she sent me the barking biscuit, and then she said Last Hope Animal Shelter, Animal Rescue. She said I'll put you in touch with the person who runs it, and so she did, and we went there and we gave cookies to them, and it was amazing to see the volunteers coming and dropping off carloads of donations of food, and,
How
and
nice.
they're all volunteers on that staff, which is awesome. And so I decided, why don't we just film this and then just do like a couple of minute piece? I called our friend Rob Graydon from Wet Dog Films is his company, and I said, Rob, would you edit this? Help us out and edit this. No money. We just want to do a couple of minute piece.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I think that the story of that is if you just do one kind thing, there's so many people that are just so angry and so bad. Just put that aside. Do one thing for
Well,
somebody, and
that's-
then maybe they do something. And it's so that was going to be the tiniest of documentaries.
Well, that's nice. I mean, those things are nice. I mean,
So-
that's
Yeah,
everything good comes back good. I believe that.
Yes.
It
Oh,
really does.
yeah.
So, what's your latest? What's coming up? What do you get? I noticed you also forwarded an ad for other people for another person that's writing a movie. They're
Right.
looking
So
for actors.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's nice that you do that too, though.
Yeah.
I sent it to a few
Casting.
people I know because a lot of people they have hopes.
Watch my Intention Films and Media Facebook page. It's Intention Films and Media. I put all my casting jobs on there. So if you see that, I'll tell you who to contact. Sometimes they're mine. Sometimes they're mostly other people. They'll show you where to send your headshots and whatnot.
That's great.
What we're working on now, we're in post on 2 different film projects of our own. One is called The Only Woman in the World, and a cast of 50 people. And, it's just been years.
2 or 3 year project now.
That long?
It's a feature film.
Yeah, it's a feature film, and because we had so many other things happening, it took COVID for us to be able to get this close to finishing it at this point. So
Well,
And you were very busy with the Nassau County and the Film
yes,
Festival.
yes.
now you have a lot more time,
So now
right?
we have time. So we went into the pandemic with I think 8 films ready for post, and now we only have 2 left. So they're all getting done and getting done and getting done, which I wouldn't have been able to do.
That's terrific.
So we have The Only Woman in the World, which is a feature, which stars Kieran Sheehan, who was one of the Phantoms from Broadway's Phantom of the Opera, Chris Cardona, who's an acting teacher on Long Island, and Bianca Jamat LaRue. And then we have a lot of names in smaller parts. We have Abigail Hawk from Blue Bloods is in it. Kevin Brown from 30 Rock is in it. Brian O'Halloran from Clerks. Artie Pasquale from The Sopranos.
And it just keeps
And I
going.
know I'm
That's
forgetting-
terrific. So, what's the movie about? Or you don't say?
No, it's about an up and coming director who she befriends an actor who isn't everything he appears to be. And at the time her career is taking off, she's sort of neglecting her relationship with her longtime boyfriend. And this actor kind of starts taking advantage of things, but they're very close at the same time. So it's kind of a way of saying, so is this guy a good guy or a bad guy? And it's-
Hard to tell, huh?
yeah, so,
Uh-huh.
so it's kind of a fun piece. I think a lot of people will resonate with a lot of people.
I'm
but
sure.
people aren't what they appear to
Well,
be.
it's very true. Until you really, even working with someone is good. I mean, I always say Greg and I, we're work. He says we're work wife and work husband. But when you're dating someone, but you never live together, that's another big opening. Sometimes when you move in together, I mean,
Yes.
things you don't realize until you're living together. That's why today you're better off living together
Yeah,
first.
well,
But
that's how it is. We lived together for 10 years before we got married. So
well, that's a sign that you were definitely staying.
Well, she's
What you
extremely
saying?
gun shy.
Yep, I was very gun shy, but we waited. And
Well, that's a good thing because she's a
I made her propose to me.
confident woman. You know what I'm saying? You proposed to him? Sorta.
We've been talking
More or
about it
less.
on and off, but we were just too busy. We're like, maybe next year. because nothing was going to change really.
Right. Yeah. You're already together.
Yeah, and then it
Right.
took actually him getting sick and me getting sick, and I had to have some surgery and the kind I wanted to go for, which was an alternative, wasn't covered by insurance, and we weren't even married. And he said, if money wasn't an option, what would you do? I said I would go for the laser surgery as opposed to chemo and whatever.
Right.
And he just went right to his. I'm gonna get chills. He just went right to his pension and took the money out.
Go. You
Aw.
go, guy.
And it wasn't even. It wasn't even.
What a
back to
guy.
back. That was never even a question. It was just he went and did what had to be done.
That's very nice. I still haven't warmed. He hasn't warmed up to me yet. Pretty
It'll
soon I'm
t-
gonna be putting my arm around you.
It'll take a couple of years probably.
A couple of years. I'm Italian. That can't.
Well, see, I
can't
I
wait
know
that
I'm
long.
I'm getting used to that being with the Italian here. No, I'm a very serious WASP.
Yeah. Okay. Alright.
When we did the DNA tests and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I'm like almost completely like Danish, Irish,
That's funny.
Scottish, and it's just like
You know what my doctor says? Inbred. Instead of purebred.
no, I'm very pragmatic would be a good word.
Okay.
Yes.
He had to
Yeah,
think,
you know,
but he
I
had to
was
think
just-
about that for a
Well,
while.
I was trying to figure out which of those words I want to use. No, I'm very.
You have two sides. You have that little side where I'm looking at you. You're very serious, but then I'm finding out from little things.
I'm a very odd person.
Yeah, you're a little oddball.
Um,
You could be like this.
You should see some of the
think
things
we're
I have
all
in my
odd.
office.
We
I'm
are all
afraid.
odd.
Yeah, you should be. Because I have like a couple of severed hands.
Hands? How many
I-
hands do
I
you
do-
have? What do they? What
well, at
happens
this point,
with
I would
those
have four.
hands?
No, I do props and other
Oh,
things
props.
for movies and stuff. So I have
Okay.
a couple of
You have several hands.
All right.
hand-
So if we need
hands
to
cut off,
borrow a
things like-
prop, we could call you.
probably. I more
Or
than
if we
likely
need
will
an
send you off
extra
somewhere
hand.
else. I need an extra hand. And in fact, if you close the door to my office, you'll see the entire wall is covered with swords and spears, and
I have two swords at
like
home.
that.
Actually, I don't know if they're worth any money.
I have lots.
How do I
used to
find out if they're worth money?
send me a picture. I'll probably tell you whether they're a wall hanger or not.
Okay, I will.
No, for about 20 some years, I did medieval Ren fairs. I was usually the evil swordsman and
Oh.
things like that. So I wear one patch and I have all the weapons. I have a full suit of armor at home.
I used to love
Things
the
like that.
Renaissance Festival at Sands Point.
Yeah,
That's
that
where I
was
was.
beautiful. Oh, you were at that?
That's why you look familiar.
I was one of the guys on the field
Wow.
all the
See
time.
that? Do you see what this show does for people? Connect, connect, connect.
No, it's a very, very, very small world as we
It
keep
certainly
discovering
is.
every time we turn
Well,
around.
it's very true. So, speaking about hands, you have this thing that you have these hands that you want to help everyone. So, talk to me about the pink tie and
Well,
why you're doing what you're doing now, and what it is that you changed at Pink Tie.
Well, Pink Tie originally started as a charity for breast cancer. It was launched that way, but then it grew so big and the community really embraced it that it encompassed serving Long Island and a lot of communities besides breast cancer. And we had the Give and Go, which is a gas station. You might have seen it. So 1 cent of every gallon goes back to the community from that gas station.
and they're so pretty. The gas stations that are involved, they're all pink.
yes.
Yeah, they're really pretty. They did a nice job on a few of them.
And with COVID, we saw the need, and Pink Tie. You hear the word pivot a lot, but it's also creative. So any kind of problem, think of a creative solution, and if you don't have it, ask people and brainstorm. So we pivoted to serving food, and we've delivered close to. We've made about 90 from Salvation Army to churches, and talking about once a month. I am so honored and grateful for my OBGYN. I haven't been there in years, and I decided January is my month just to do a complete checkup on health and everything. And while I was there, they saw my pink tie shirt because I was going off right after my checkup. And I mentioned what we were doing. She was like, we have all this donation. People forget about women and how expensive it is. I was just like moved to tears. I literally had my SUV packed with boxes and boxes of stuff for women, and they'll be donating regularly, and that's
How
Contemporary Women's
wonderful.
Care, and I'm so incredibly grateful. Just the whole community on just the places that we're going, and Mike and Rich Cave, who started Pink Tie, and Ray Thomas, and
You know, I worked with Ray Thomas too at the county.
wow,
Yeah,
it
I
is
did.
yeah, it is.
We did a
small
lot of
world.
things together. He used to give money out to charities too, way back when.
So the show started because we had just delivered food to, partnered with Keller Williams. Keller Williams is a huge partner.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just like what you were saying, people need to know about all the good that's happening during the pandemic. And I'm like, why don't you guys start a podcast? And they're like, oh, well, there's a studio at Chocolate Works in Plainview, a real studio. They're like, why don't you have a show? And I'm like, no, I mean, I can talk now, but even like a month ago, I can look cute for like 5 minutes, but then I get
Nah.
terrified.
You're
no, I no,
fine.
but
look, if I can do it,
but the inside voice gets
well,
afraid.
it takes time. It takes time.
So I was like, all right, I'll think about it. And the more I thought about it, the scarier I got. And then I just had to meditate and see where that fear came from. And then I took it like I wanted to do it to inspire and bring people that are inspiring. Besides inspiring for people, remember the mindset, method, and
The three
motivation.
M's.
Yes, the three
Three
M's.
M's.
They intertwine. And if people can just get one thing from it, or to build a Facebook community, the Pink Tie Show, where we can just help each other, or see if you have a creative problem, that you can come to the community and people can just throw out ideas, or you can connect, or you can see that you're not alone, or
Definitely. We could partner too, like different things.
exactly,
Whatever
exactly.
you need. We know a lot of people here. I mean, we get called for ridiculous things.
So-
I mean, we really do. I mean, last one was somebody that their child's grave was taken away because of the COVID, and we got called for that, so we took it on, and he got his grave back. But again, it's the different stuff that people don't know where to go to.
Exactly.
So that's a great
It's-
thing that
it's
you're
the-
doing,
It's the unknown.
right?
It's the unknown, and I want people to know more and more on how beautiful their lives can be by focusing on the beauty. We see what we focus on, and I want to focus more. And that's what my morning posts are usually, the sunrise, and
And
just to
it's
start the day off. We can literally prime ourselves. We can prime ourselves to have a good day and to know that things will go well. And when you hear that voice, that automatic, is called ants, automatic negative thoughts. We all have it,
Yeah.
but to be aware of it and not believe them. Those are lies. You are fabulous.
Yeah, but I use that word too. I used to call them auxiliary negative thoughts.
Mhm.
I should call them automatic. I didn't think of that. But I tell everyone, when you get the ants, step on them.
Yes.
Get rid of them.
Mhm.
Cut your losses.
It's being conscious of them. We do so much unconsciously, and we have so many beliefs unconsciously. So whatever blockage, problems, or things that keep coming into your life, see where that belief is. What is your belief? Like, I used to say, oh, I never have enough time. Okay. And the thing is, we have these beliefs, then we want to fight for our limiting beliefs. We want to be right. You're right. We are right. Whatever we believe, we are right. But do you want to hold on to that, or do you want to change it? You want to let it go and create an opposing belief that will be more empowering. And that's where I am now.
That's great. Now, the event that you used to have, which I love that event once a year, the Pink Tie,
The Pink-
will that come back in another year, or is it going to be totally different?
Well, everything is
Depending on the pandemic.
pandemic. I
Right.
mean, there's so many amazing events throughout Long Island. And I'm personally looking forward to having a multisensory exhibit in Sag Harbor, spring, summer. I want people to be encompassed with just seeing, hearing, smelling, and just to get lost in
Inner self.
inner self. It's called healing at a cellular level. We all are capable of healing ourselves, and that's not it's hard science. It's proven. And our thoughts and our emotions are the things that triggers the genes. So I've been studying quantum physics, neuroscience, metaphysics for a very long time. And I try to incorporate that into my art as well as my daily posts, which I don't say and tell people exactly what I'm doing.
Well,
Now
every
you
day is
know.
another thing, though. I mean, I get your posts all the time, and every day it's like a beautiful photo, a beautiful video. It's moving, it's traveling. I mean, it's just the birds are flying. It's wonderful.
I'm going to share something that no one has seen yet. This is, it was my first one yesterday experiment. I'm going to start doing larger pieces and larger crystals. So I brought it with me, and it's a gift for you. Ta-da!
Oh, that is
So
gorgeous.
many of us have limiting money beliefs. So the gold is abundance, and how if you have that limiting belief, to change it to something that's so powerful for you. So,
Wow.
and this is a gift for you.
Thank you. That is gorgeous.
That is beautiful.
Does this mean I'm going to become rich?
Nope, it doesn't.
I know.
Exactly.
I know. I'm
It's
kidding.
everything. Don't be kidding. Like, you have to set an intention and make it happen. You are the creator. So remember
Thank you.
that you are the creator. Every
Thank
time
you.
you
That
see
is
that.
beautiful. Really
I
nice.
remember back in the day, I always knew that. This is going to date me when I talk about amounts, but I always thought that no matter what, whether you're married, whether you have whatever it is, you always needed to make your own income because you don't know what's going to
Well,
happen.
it's true.
And so I always knew back then that if I just had $3,000, that I'd be able to pay for a used car. That's how long ago. and the first and last month of rent. So I always knew, and for years, all I had was $3,000 in the bank because that's what I knew I needed. And when my life changed due to a very difficult divorce at one point, I wanted to keep my house because I wanted to make sure that my daughter could grow up there and go to school there as I have raised my stepchildren. And also because I had an older dog at the time and I wanted to make sure I was never going to get rid of her. So she needed to have a backyard and not have to worry about rent and approvals and whatnot. And so I remember literally having like $35 left in my pocket. But whenever a bill came, I would get a writing job or I would get something. And it was always just
It was a
enough
sign,
to
right?
pay. And then I had to get to the point that I have everything I need and more. And it just always happened, always. And it just was almost crazy to the point I really had to believe this works,
Karma.
you know, because I would joke myself up, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And somebody would recommend somebody who'd contact me, whether write website content or they start commercial scripts or
Right.
whatever it is, you know, it would just always come to me. And, you know, so you have to have that mindset because we really can all do that,
This is true.
you know.
You
And
can
sometimes
do a
it
lot
seems
more than
like-
you think you can
yeah,
do.
and it
Right.
seems like magic, and I guess in a way it is.
Magic is the things we can't explain and
Yes.
understand. So back in the day before science, everything was magic. And now we understand a lot. In fact, that is not magic anymore. Quantum physics has explained why that works, how that works. Dr. Joe Dispenza has a whole meditation series for you to, yes.
I think I have to try meditation. That's one thing I haven't tried. But
Yeah.
I don't calm down. That's my problem.
Well, that's a belief. and the more you need to calm down, the more meditation. And meditation, I mean, like every university and researcher and scientists are showing how not only it improves your health, your emotions, like it improves 27 aspects of your life.
Really?
So it's also finding the one that works for you. It's the discipline. It's taking the action. And that's the thing. People want stuff, but they're comfortable in their uncomfortable known.
Well, that's true. Mhm.
So one thing, choose just one thing to improve your life and do it every day, no matter what. It can be like some sit-ups, it can be just journaling, some gratitude, something to bring you closer to where you want to go.
That's great. It's good advice. And the journaling is great advice because we do now at the Breakfast Club, we have the Writers Club. So we publish like quite a few books a year through Red Penguin. And now we're doing trailers too. So, it's just like keeps growing. So now, my friends here, let's talk. What do you do at the media company?
Everything.
Everything. I know, but can
Um,
you tell us what you do so that,
Well,
we're talking to the ladies. Want to give
Okay.
the man some attention here.
that's fine. I'm perfectly.
Okay.
I disappear into the woodwork. But okay, my basic background is technology.
Which is wonderful.
I grew up working with my father. I started working construction when I was 9, all up and down the eastern seaboard, building houses and stuff. I have done everything on a house except the main electrical power hookups. I have literally done plumbing, electrical,
Physically, everything.
yes, poured concrete, surveying, so on. And I did theater in high school. I was on like the math club team. I did this, that, and the other thing. Went to college. I started out as a pure math major. So we got up to Calc 3, structural physics, all kinds of differential equations. I got really bored because it was too easy. Which is, I'm not trying to.
Well, you're
myself great.
intelligent, very
No, it's just
intelligent.
that's how my mind works.
You must have a big high IQ.
It's immaterial. IQ is a momentary number. I happen to have a very spatial mathematical brain. I see numbers.
Oh,
I also discovered early on, if I wanted to work on something, I could take this object and in my head, take it apart, look at all the parts of it, figure out exactly how it went together and put it back together, all in my head. That's just the way my brain works. Doesn't make me smarter, doesn't make me better.
It's a talent.
Just how I work.
mhm.
I can't learn a foreign language to save my life. Different processing. But I got bored with math. I went into computer sciences. I was programming like back before there were PCs. We're talking the 70s. You didn't have a computer in your house. You didn't have a cell phone. It didn't exist yet. But I was doing computer programming. I got bored. I decided to take a theater class. So I took Theater 101, as we called it, Technology for Idiots. And I was mostly there I was like the only person who had ever used a power tool before in the entire group. One of the things you had to do was go into the shop and do a couple of things for the class. I walked into the shop and went, I won't do that because the bandsaw set up wrong. And all the tech people are looking at what? I then said, give me a couple of, Allen
Screws,
keys.
whatever.
I fixed
Mhm.
the bandsaw in front of them. And they're going, can you build this? And I went, sure. And I went over and fixed this other thing and built a couple platforms. The next semester, I was the assistant shop supervisor for the college.
Good.
I went on to run the studio program. When I finished up, I went off to Yale School of Drama, got my master's in technical design and production. I went to work off Broadway. I worked for Nickelodeon Television. I worked for Here, There, Everywhere, a load of stuff into the Javits Center. I'm the guy who you show me a funny looking plan on the back of an envelope, I will figure out how to do it. Then the business died back in the late 80s. Most of the commercial work went south, so on and so forth. A friend of mine, or I should say my ex-wife's sister, had a friend who was retiring from teaching, doing cabinet making. I called up the New York City Board of Education then. I go down on Thursday. On Friday, they send me to take a practical exam. On Tuesday, I'm in the classroom teaching cabinet making. I do that for a few years. Then the computers started to pop up. The Cisco networking system is coming up, so on and so forth. They asked me if I'm interested, and I went, eh. So then they send me off, and I was one of the first class of New York City instructors for the Cisco Academy program in New York City. I remember sitting there. We would sit there with the Cisco engineers and they would be talking at us. These guys did not know how to teach, but they had all the information. We're a classroom of teachers who had no clue what they're talking about. So what they would talk at us, and then we would like turn our backs on them and figure out, how am I going to explain this to high school kids?
Yeah, and easy, you know, more
And, like,
intelligent.
I
easy.
figured out how to teach subnetting, and this other guy would figure out how to do the wiring and stuff like that. And so we created the Cisco Academy course. I ended up running a Cisco Academy. I was a Cisco Academy instructor, network administrator, so on and so forth,
Mhm.
for about 15 years. Then an opening popped up at the LaGuardia High School for the Arts. I applied.
The famed school.
The famed school from
Yeah.
the famed movie.
Yes.
I ran the technical program at that school for the final 6 years of my teaching, about 30 years or so. I retired like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I don't remember. It's an old distant memory. But the thing is when I ran into her,
That's when your world opened.
I was teaching Cisco stuff. She said she'd never date anybody in the industry.
Oh, so you weren't in the industry.
I wasn't in
because
the
you were
industry at that point,
computer
but-
He was in the
system.
tech world.
But prior to that, I had been working Broadway, off Broadway,
Right.
touring shows, all kinds of other stuff. I just gave up the industry. I was just
Because-
teaching.
Because she was meant to meet
Right.
you.
Well,
'Cause if
that's
you
a
were-
whole other story.
That's another
in a
show.
second. But we get together. We're together for a few years, and then she's doing this the film festival and stuff. I walk into the film festival the first time, and I'm going, "Why are you doing that?" That's the no. And I started fixing things. Then I started showing them how to do stuff,
Together. Look
Until-
what happened.
and then I ended up doing all of their technology, the websites and all kinds of other stuff, and the grading and the judging and all kinds of other things. And then when she wanted to start making a film, I went, okay. We go off to make the Last Taxi Driver, and I end up having a truck, which I was driving around with, and they would say like, "Do you have it's starting to rain. Do you have a tent here? Do you have this here?" I had already figured this stuff out because I had done this
Because
for decades.
you knew the industry. You knew it.
I had been I had been an assistant director. I had been a cameraman. I had been a sound man. I had done grip work, gaffer work, electrical.
You had
so
everything
on.
in your little truck. You had
Yeah.
a little
Actually, the only thing I haven't done on set is hair and makeup, and that's because I won't.
hair. Well, okay.
Um,
Well, you could bring that in easily.
I have done it. I refuse. Let me put it that way. I used to do special effects makeup. Like if you want a piece of glass sticking out of your face, I can do that. I used to.
Well,
teach
you
that
just
stuff.
you have a lot of gifts.
I try. But in any case, we got together and I started doing more and more. We started having more and more ideas. And when we would take our walk at the park, we would
Without
talk
the
about-
dog.
Well, actually, at that point, we
Oh,
actually
the
had
new
Trippy-
dog. Without the new dog.
Trippy-
Right.
New dogs
Trippy
just
was
a year old.
basically loved everybody. We could go anywhere with her. She would just sit there and smile at you. But we would take walks and we would have these bizarre conversations. And basically what it was when you're being creative and you're building stuff, there is no wrong answer.
Anything goes, right?
Right. As soon as if you want to get out of the possible, you have to look into the impossible.
Absolutely. I
Just
believe
make
in
it up. I
that.
said, well, okay, we're probably not going to land a Black Hawk helicopter at Eisenhower. And she goes, well, we did that. I was like, oh. I mean, she's been involved
It's a
in blowing
yeah.
up the Long Beach Bridge.
It's
for-
a good
for black-
philosophy, though.
for the blacklist.
That's
and so
unreal,
on.
really. You have such imagination. But the
but-
philosophy of doing the unthinkable is the best thing for any business.
Sure.
And that creativity is a muscle. We all have it. And the more we use it,
Mhm.
the more we'll have it. So,
That's why we play off of each other.
I know
Yeah, but that's
so
why brainstorming is so important. Like, that's what I missed when I left the media because I always had a team.
Mhm.
Okay. So, and I was in a news meeting all the time for, the magazine. So everybody had their input. So that's where really great ideas come. So then when I was, laid off, I'm like, here I am sitting at home, saying, oh, I don't have any ideas, and then we started to meet all these people through the Breakfast Club, and that's how everything happened. So other people listen to them because even kids come with ideas that are great.
Oh, my students were the most brilliant people I've ever met.
Yeah. Mhm.
We were doing well, every year at LaGuardia, they would do what's called Rising Stars, which was basically a giant variety show.
Oh, that's always fun.
Singing, dancing, whatever.
Fame.
Fame, basically. Although I don't remember them ever throwing frisbees, but that's another thing. This one and that show, I demanded when I first got there that the students design it. Before that, they always had faculty designing it.
Mhm.
I said, it's the students. Let the designers play. Let the that kind of stuff. One year, they came up with this idea. They were going to fly a giant tree. We're talking something that's like 20 feet wide and 30 feet high of a cutout of a tree. And they wanted to fly it down between a scrim and a blackout drop, but it was only like 1.5 feet difference, and they wanted to fly it between them. And I'm going, And they said, well, we want to light it like this. And the guy who taught lighting and I looked at each other and went, it's not really going to look right. But you know what? Do it anyway. What do we got to lose? It won't look attractive. We'll figure out something else. The kids set it all up. They built it all. We just kind of went and waited. They flew it in, turned the lights on, and both the lighting designer and I went,
Unbelievable.
absolutely gorgeous. It was incredible. And we both look at each other and went like, learn something new
Leave
every
it to
day.
the kids, right?
Exactly.
It was they built it.
Credit to you, John, for letting them do it.
Yeah, giving
letting
them the
do it,
freedom.
'cause instead of taking what you already knew and stopping them, you wouldn't have. That's,
I
that's
actually, that's one of my philosophies of teaching is I've been teaching, like I said, I think I've taught every subject in the New York City system except for foreign language, music, and art. I have literally taught everything else. English, history, math, whatever, when they were trying to figure out what to do with me. I only have one job. Is I don't care if you pick up the facts and so on. That's not the thing. You can take a standardized test, whatever. My sole job is to teach you how to think.
Which is very
That's it.
good because sometimes you get blocked.
well,
Even
that's-
with writing, you get blocked when you're writing your story. Well, you know that. I mean, look, you don't get blocked. See,
Oh,
she's one
you
of the
have-
lucky ones. You don't
You
get
have no
blocked.
idea. We've been having a conversation. We've had this conversation twice in the last couple of years.
Really?
She says, I can't write anymore. And I go like,
So-
for this minute.
So when is the next?
Something else.
So when do you have a big festival coming up where people send you movies or no? Is
Well,
that
yeah, right now we are accepting films for the Long Island International Film Expo, also called LIFE, LIIFE. And if you go to longislandfilm.com, you can go to, submit films and submit your film. And we take documentaries and features and shorts and music videos and trailers and student films and
oh
screenplays. I'm not one of the judges because I stopped probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I touched too many other films. So, this.
yeah, you're better off
judge,
keep
yeah.
it out of it.
I won't
Mhm.
put, if I direct something, I won't put it in. But other than that, if I've just helped cast or whatever, they can do whatever they want with it. But yeah, so you can submit films. We're hoping for an online film festival this year. Not online. We're hoping for an in-person.
Yeah, that's
Last year we
yeah.
had to do online, but we also did a drive-in because we felt that was important to have a physical
Right.
presence. So we're hoping to have it in the Belmore Movies, and right now it's July 9th to the 15th. And if we have to move it into the fall, we can.
Right.
The good thing is the theater is 350 seats. So
Oh,
even if
that's
we group
great.
about 50 people, we can spread them out.
Exactly. Yeah.
So whatever it is, our plan is to do that. Might be a little amended. We may not rent the Filmmakers Lounge, and if we only can have 50
Right.
people, we can't really lose a fortune. But
Well, keep us posted on that because I'd like to come back. It's been a while since I've been with you guys, so it would be really nice.
yeah. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
Well, what's your social media that we can follow and be updated?
Okay, if you're going to look for information on the Long Island International Film Expo, you can go to Instagram at Long Island Film. It's Instagram.
People will see it when they go to the.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
at Instagram. It's Long Island Film Expo, and on Facebook, it's there's two. There's a group, Long Island
Long Island
International Film
International Film
Expo,
Expo.
and then there's also
Long Island International Film Expo.
Yes.
Okay.
So, we do have a group. We also have the page itself on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and then there's the website, which is if you go to longislandfilm.com, you'll see all our hookups. So you just
Okay,
click on each
great.
one and you can
Thank
join.
you. Thank
So
you.
24 years it'll be.
could have a 25th anniversary, like an anniversary party. So you got to do that. Have it here. It would be kind of nice.
It
Yeah.
was so weird last year because we had our closing night party online, and we had Catherine Narducci, who I'm such a fan of. She was on The Sopranos. She was in The Irishman. She played Joe Pesci's wife. She was in like all these iconic movies, and I couldn't meet her in person, but she had come online, and what we did was I had cast Kathy Moriarty from Raging Bull and,
Yes.
and Neighbors and everything, and her and Kathy and Catherine used to live together. So we went to my friend's house, and Kathy Moriarty met us there, and we filmed her presenting the award.
How nice.
To Catherine, but we didn't tell her. So when we put it on, she's like, "Oh my God, we used to live together." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." So it's having that creativity to try to do something special. And
Right.
we had because it was virtual, we got Brian O'Halloran to present from New Jersey, and we
Which
got
is
Kevin
wonderful,
Brown to
yeah.
present from
That adds so
Brooklyn.
much. But I think you're going to be able to have a live one.
Oh, I think so.
But there
Yeah.
were benefits to virtual too, because
Oh, sure.
people that couldn't physically come,
Yeah.
now
Right.
you can
No,
see them.
we had a huge crowd from Italy.
Yeah, which is
and we stayed up,
wonderful.
It was like 3 in the morning. Or
You had the
whatever. It was like
paisans.
that, Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did have people who might not have been able to come in.
Okay, we got to.
All attended.
Great. And Asia, how do people reach you?
Asia Lee. I guess artist.com Asia Lee on Instagram, or the Pink Pie Show on Facebook or Instagram.
And guys, this show was sponsored by Aura Pure Jewelers, Teddy and Christina. They have beautiful jewelry. Go see them. Tell them the club sent you. This is my favorite piece that Teddy gave me. I wear it all the time. He's the greatest, and you get cappuccino when you go there. So that's it. Greg, we're following you. We're hoping you're good. And that's a wrap.